YouTube is live. Hello, YouTube. TikTok, we're ready. And I did pretty well today. You have no idea how complicated this is. There we go. Mirror video. Woo woo. I am taking this shirt. It's too hot. Woo. My apartment gets so warm this time of year with the sunlight. It's nice, but it's just like, woo, it's too warm. Man. All right. There we go. All right. Welcome, everybody. John Aravosis here. Aravosis Report. How are we all doing this evening? All right, I got my water. Excellent. Okay, now I can relax. All right. Welcome all. Thank you for gifts, guys, already. Thank you, TikTokers, Discordians, everybody for being here today. Adjusting this. There we go. I switched cables, so hopefully YouTube won't be staticky today. If it is, that'll be very interesting. But I suspect it's the other cable I use, so we will find out. Anyway, how is everybody doing tonight? Today is, Tuesday, March 18th? Woo-woo. Decent amount of news today. Most of the news is Ukraine stuff, although there's actually, there's Trump stuff too. We're going to start with the Ukraine stuff because it's the most important news today. Normally I start with the Trump stuff, but we'll do this instead. Thank you, Evra. I am doing well. Thank you, Martin and Jeff, for the gifts. Woo! Anyway, so welcome, guys. So the way the show works is I cover the news. I create notes first on the news. I go through the stories, and then, as we discuss them, I like to do kind of a back and forth. I don't. I sort of do both. I go through the news first, but at the same time, if the spirit moves me, I also go through the. I also sort of take your guys' feedback, so we'll do a little bit of both. Hang on. Yeah, this is a state senator. Sarah, I assume you're talking about a state senator. I don't particularly care. Do I use AI? Sure. Depends what I'm, not for the show, but I use it overall. Yeah. I'm very impressed with AI. It's been very interesting, actually. My only problem with AI is, I swear to God, because I've been using AI to translate some old articles in Greek about my family. And I swear to God, ChatGPT, and I've been dealing with their people, trying to inform them. It's got a mind of its own. I mean, literally, I could see this thing launching the nukes. I literally tell it to translate an article, and it goes, okay, the article's translated. And I know enough Greek to look at the article and know there's parts not translated. And I go, okay, you didn't translate this. I've translated everything. It's like, oh my God. It just freaking lies. ChatGPT just lies. Anyway, we don't have to get into it now, but it's kind of freaking me out because I literally finally was like, translate every line, word for word, line by line. Oh, okay. And then it finally did it. But it just will not translate. There's clearly proper nouns missing, proper names missing. Anyway. So the AI, ChatGPT has some arrogance going on that I find very scary. And it kind of worries me because you literally give it direct orders and it disobeys them. And you kind of wonder, what's this thing going to do when we give it control of our, nuclear arsenal, Thank you, Pickles. Anyway, so let's start with the news, guys. We'll start with the news and news on Ukraine. Then we'll do a little Trump news, but the Ukraine stuff is very important today. Trump, as you may know, had an hour-and-a-half phone call with Vladimir Putin, which is a terrifying thought. Thank you, Kim. Thanks to the gifts, guys. Keep the gifts coming. I do this for a living. And basically your gifts help pay the bills. So thank you. So Trump today had an hour-and-a-half phone call with Vladimir Putin about Ukraine. Kind of scary since, a number of things. Vladimir Putin is a very smart man. Donald Trump is not. Vladimir Putin is fighting for Russia. Donald Trump is fighting for Russia. Trump is not on Ukraine's side. I would say Trump is not even in the middle. I think Trump leans towards Russia. And the idea of Trump who leans towards Russia, negotiating with Russia, who is Russia, is a recipe for trouble. The fact that they talked for an hour and a half is terrifying because it means a lot was discussed, a lot of substance. The Ukrainians were not involved. And this is really just the craziest part of this story. The Ukrainians are not part of these negotiations. Trump just talked to Putin, did whatever he wanted. Zelensky put out a statement after Trump spent 90 minutes negotiating away Ukraine's land and all sorts of God knows what else. Zelensky puts out a statement and says, I hope the president is going to brief me on what happened during his call with Putin. There were no contacts between the White House and the Ukrainians on any of this stuff. No contacts to say, okay, we're going to the meeting. Here's what we're thinking. What do you think? We'll check with you afterwards. Nothing. They just The Ukrainians were like, okay, well, hope Trump tells us what he's negotiating away of our freedom. What was discussed, Trump and Putin agreed to an energy ceasefire, basically a 30-day ceasefire on attacking energy. Now, this is kind of cute. I mean, the Ukrainians sort of had to agree. It's kind of cute because it certainly affects the Ukrainians because Putin's going after their energy. Not as much right now because it's springtime. So it's not as cold, right? Not as scary to lose a power plant when it's not as cold. And for Putin, this is hugely important time. Putin needs to get his energy sales up. The energy sales are down. The Ukrainians have been attacking Russian oil facilities, energy facilities nonstop, and it has put a big dent in Putin's budget. You have to recall that 40%, thank you for the gift there, Lee, 40% of the of the Russian state budget, 40% of Russia's federal budget comes from energy sales. 40%, okay? That's where the money comes from. So if Ukraine's able to go after Russia's energy, it causes a big problem for Russia's budget, fighting the war, supporting its economy, et cetera. So Trump agrees with Putin on a 30-day ceasefire of going after energy, which basically helps Russia a lot. It permits Russia to keep fighting inside Ukraine. It permits Russia to keep fighting inside Kursk. So the Russians are able to basically go after the Ukrainians and get more land. The Russians are demanding that America and the allies cut off Ukraine for the entire ceasefire, that they cut off weapons and intelligence to Ukraine. The problem is the ceasefire isn't a ceasefire. It's just ceasing going after energy plants. The Russians would still bomb the hell out of the rest of Ukraine. The Russians would still fight the Ukrainians on all the fronts on the land. And the Russians are demanding that the Americans cut off the Ukrainians from all, not just the Americans, the Europeans, from all weapons and all intelligence. And God only knows what Trump agreed to because it's Trump. A little bit more here. Putin repeated his claims that we needed to address the root causes of the conflict. Basically, Putin is demanding that Ukraine never be able to join NATO. Thank you, Nadia, for the gifts. That's ridiculous. A lot of countries have joined NATO. You know why they've joined NATO? Because Russia held them hostage. The countries that joined NATO in the last 20 years, 25 years, have been Russia's hostages. After World War II, Russia took half of Europe hostage. As the Soviet Union, Russia took 14 other countries hostage, basically. They had Ukraine. They ate up Ukraine. It's like Pac-Man. Russia ate up Ukraine, made it part of Russia, part of the Soviet Union, but Russia ran the Soviet Union. Russia ate up Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, made it part of the Soviet Union. They were no longer independent countries. All these countries broke free in 1991, and they came to NATO and begged us to protect them from the man who kidnapped them, the man who brutalized them, Russia. That's why these countries joined NATO, because they were escaping from the guy who kidnapped them and brutalized them. Eastern Europe, same thing. After World War II, what did the Russians do? First of all, going into the war, what did the Russians do? They were pals with the Germans. The Russians had a secret pact with the Germans that helped the Germans launch World War II. The Russians love to talk about how supposedly they saved the world by beating the Germans in World War II. No, they didn't. They helped the Germans start the war. The Russians had a secret pact called the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact. They agreed to split up Eastern Europe. They agreed to invade Poland, and they would divide it and just take it. Germany would take half of Poland. The Russians would take half of Poland. They agreed some of the Baltic states the Russians could take. It was basically Russia promising the Germans, go ahead and invade Europe, oh German leader, the scary guy, and we, Russia, will leave you alone and not do anything. And by the way, we're going to invade Europe too and grab half of it. So what happens? World War II ends. What does Russia do? Russia grabs half of Europe. Russia took a number of European countries hostage for 45 years and imposed horrible communist dictatorships on them. Germany, they cut a third of Germany away and created East Germany, one of the worst dictatorships on the planet in East Germany. They created, not created, but they invaded and controlled and created a dictatorship in Czechoslovakia, Romania, Bulgaria, Poland, Hungary, across Eastern Europe. That is why these countries are now members of NATO, These countries joined NATO because the Russians kidnapped them and oppressed them for nearly half a century. And when they got out, they said, protect us from this country that is brutalizing us. So anyway, takes us to today. Putin today tells Trump he wants to basically ban Ukraine from ever joining NATO. Yeah, I don't blame him because Putin wants Ukraine. He wants to eat up Ukraine. The Russians want to take Ukraine. They want to make it part of Russia. And Putin doesn't want to stop that. If Ukraine were to join NATO, Putin wouldn't be able to invade and finish his plan. Putin has already said before the invasion, Putin said, Ukraine is Russia. They're Russians. Someday, basically, we will make them part of Russia again. You know, any case. So, well, good question. Ukraine. Terry says, why didn't Ukraine do the same thing? Ukraine did. Ukraine has been trying to join NATO since 2008. NATO refused. It first was the Germans and the French, who were the first ones who, Sarkozy in France, Angela Merkel in Germany, who said, no, we're not going to let you in. And then everyone kind of dragged their feet. Biden didn't really want it. I mean, not nobody. I'm sure some of the Eastern European countries were on board, but most of the other guys didn't let Ukraine in. That is why it is also, thank you, Marcia, for the gifts. It is also BS. One of the lines that Putin puts out there. Thank you, Bjorn. And one of the lines that Putin's sycophants in the West put out there is Ukraine was going to join NATO and we had to stop them by invading. Ukraine's been trying to join NATO for 15, 16 years. It got nowhere. Ukraine's been trying to join NATO since 2008. The Russians invaded in 2014 and then 2022. Ukraine was no closer to joining NATO. It had nothing to do with joining NATO because otherwise, why, 2022, why would they wait? What would that be? 14 years after Ukraine applied to NATO? The Russians waited 14 years to invade last time? Why? Right? I mean, either it's a threat and you invade right away, or it's not a threat. But when you wait 14 years to invade, it means it's not a threat. It's not an imminent problem. You're lying, basically. You're giving a false reason for why you invaded. All right, let's keep going on this. They agreed to a prisoner swap as well. That's nice. They agreed that negotiations will now begin in the Middle East, presumably in Saudi Arabia. Thank you, Courtney, for the gift. Between who knows between whom? Is it between the Russians and the Ukrainians? Is it the Americans and the Russians? Who the hell knows? Trump has yet to invite the Europeans. Europe needs to basically kind of put its foot down. The Europeans control a lot of the sanctions. The Europeans control a lot of the money. As I recall, I'm pretty sure about this. As I recall, isn't the majority of the money that has been frozen of Russia's money in Western banks, isn't the majority in Europe? Am I wrong about this? It's a lopsided number. And I remember it being almost like 200 billion or so in Europe, I want to say, and maybe America had 80 billion. Arctic Legacy is saying yes. I know you're always up on stuff. I hope that's true. If that's true, it means Trump can screw around and try to ignore the Europeans. But at some point, he needs them on his side because the Europeans could just say, you know what? You reached this peace treaty that Ukraine doesn't like. We don't agree. We're not going to release the money. Now, do the Europeans have the nerve, the backbone to tell Trump no? Let's see. And Canada as well, Arctic. I hope so, but let's see. What else we got here? Oh, God. And then Trump. Oh, my God. Trump then bragged today. And, of course, it's a lie. He lies a lot. Trump lied today and said, and another thing I did in the phone call, I saved a bunch of Ukrainian troops that were being surrounded by the Russians. Putin agreed not to kill them. Except the problem is this was already disproven several days ago. It's not true. Putin lied to Trump and told him, I've got the Ukrainian troops surrounded in Kursk and we're going to kill like 10,000 of them. And Trump goes, and it was a lie. And Trump goes public and says, please, Mr. Putin, I beg you, don't kill the Ukrainian troops that you're surrounding in Kursk region. Putin today apparently promised Trump he wouldn't kill the troops he's surrounding in Kursk. So Trump announced it as a big negotiating thing he got. The problem is all the evidence suggests that there are no Ukrainian troops surrounded by the Russians in Kursk or anywhere else. Trump negotiated away nothing today. But I mean, it's funny, but it's not funny because you know Trump gave something in return for getting Putin to save these Ukrainians, right? I mean, he got something for nothing and bragged about it because this is what. But again, this is one of the things that's important about Trump, and it's important for anybody who follows him, you guys abroad, but even folks at home. He lies about a lot. Thank you, Marsha. He lies about a lot, more so than any president in American history that I can think of. I know, James, the wig will make its reappearance. I thought of it when I was reading those quotes. He's kind of pathological about the lies, and you've got to be aware of this because again, the danger here, of course, is Trump is lying about Ukrainian being surrounded, but because he believes the lie, he traded it away with Putin. I mean, it boggles my mind. I have to say kind of, Joey, because TikTok's a little censorious, so I have to watch how I phrase things so our overlords don't get upset. So that's why I say kind of when I don't really mean kind of. Anyway, all right, what else we got here? Russian energy. Oh, so this is an interesting point with regards to Russian energy. Again, a big part of the reason Putin wanted to have this 30-day ceasefire on going after energy is because it's the most important thing to him. 40% of their federal budget in Russia comes from energy sales, and they're not doing too well. Listen to this about Russia's, I think, largest energy company, actually, Gazprom, suffered $13.1 billion in losses in 2024. That's about the same in euros. That would probably be, I'm going to guess, 12.8 billion euros, $13 billion. That's a big deal. That's because they're not selling stuff because of the sanctions. It's because their production is down to a degree because of Ukraine going after their facilities. This is why Putin got Trump to agree basically to an energy ceasefire. Zelensky, this was very sad. I think it was on Sky News. It might have been on Sky News. Zelensky said that he hopes Trump will fill him in on the detail of the call with Putin. I mean, that's just sad. It's not Zelensky's fault, but that Trump is negotiating Ukraine away to Putin, and there's not even a plan to fill Zelensky in, the Ukrainians in. And Zelensky has to publicly say, I hope he's planning on briefing me about what he just did to my country, right? This is Trump. Zelensky said Ukraine would support the ceasefire that Trump proposed. Michael Clark had an interesting comment. Michael Clark is a British defense analyst. He's very good. He's on Sky News a lot. And he said today, there's an old saying in diplomatic circles. If you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And believe me, Ukraine is on the menu. I thought that was a wild quote, but basically saying, right? I mean, Ukraine's not at the negotiating table, which means they're on the menu, right? That they're getting served up. They can't defend themselves. It's bad. France announced today it's going to deploy fighter jets with nuclear weapons on the German border by 2035. That's not for a while, but it's very interesting because it is evidence of Europe starting to take its own defense more seriously now that they can no longer trust the United States, now that we are no longer your ally, now that the NATO alliance really doesn't mean anything. I mean, the NATO promise means nothing at this point, obviously. Under Trump, we're not, there's no way you should even think that MAGA or Trump's, or frankly, I would say also any Republican, that any Republican administration is going to come to your defense. You shouldn't assume it. They don't like you. They don't like NATO. They like our enemies. If our enemies attack you, honestly, you'd be lucky if they didn't side with our enemies attacking you. Europe has got to defend itself. That is why the French announced today they're going to be doing fighter jets with nuclear warheads patrolling the German border by 2035. Again, good thing. This was interesting too. Poland and the Baltic states. You got Poland, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia, all announced today that they're withdrawing from an anti-personnel mine ban treaty. Basically, they currently have signed a treaty where they agree to ban anti-personnel lines, landmines against people, basically. They're landmines that blow people up. And they're pulling out of the treaty. Why? because, I mean, pretty clear, they're afraid of Russia. They think there's a chance of a Russian invasion. And they want to put landmines down on their border to stop the Russians from invading. Or at least they want the possibility, I would suspect they do, of putting landmines down to stop a possible Russian invasion. That's what happens. And this is, by the way, it's another indicator of what happens when America is weak, when America sides with the enemies, like Russia, right? If the Europeans can't count on us to defend them, they've got to count on themselves. And when they count on themselves, they've got to start doing some nasty things like using anti-personnel mines, pulling out of international treaties. It just, and by the way, if the Europeans start, lining anti-personnel mines along the Russian border, the Russians are going to start getting worried as to what the Europeans are planning, right? It just, all of what Trump is doing is making the world less safe. It's not making the world more safe. It's not making war less likely. If anything, it's making war more likely. Story that happened last night that after the show ended, really gross actually, but surprise. Trump banned mention of more U.S. veterans on the Pentagon website. As you know, Trump has railed against, during his campaign, he railed against DEI. And again, I still have to ask, is it diversity, equity, inclusion, something like that? And it's civil rights. Again, it's a stupid liberal word for civil rights. Any of you who watch me regularly know how upset I get at these dumb liberal things when they've got to change words and they've always got to, oh, no. We need just the right word. Hunger is now, what was it called? Hunger is not hunger anymore. It's, oh, thank you, Ash. I've never, the dove, that's cute. Hunger is now food insecurity. Whatever the hell that means, food insecurity, right? Who knows what the hell that means? So one of the things they did as well was this DEI thing. Rather than calling it civil rights, which is a word everybody likes, right? Everybody likes civil rights, right? They're calling it DEI. Well, DEI sounds like something antiseptic. Thank you, Russell. I mean, it sounds like a disease you get from being too promiscuous, right? I got DEI. I got to get some penicillin. I mean, it's weird. It's a weird, I really do. I think it is a mistake for those of us who support civil rights to use these kind of words like DEI. So what did Trump do? Trump couldn't attack civil rights. That would look bad, right? So Trump attacked DEI during the campaign. What is Trump doing now? Trump is basically going after civil rights across America, left and right. He has banned the teaching at the U.S. Air Force for new Air Force recruits. He banned teaching about the Tuskegee Airmen. Tuskegee Airmen were a group of African-American pilots, black pilots in World War II who were heroes. There were movies done about them, and Trump banned it. They were part of the curriculum for the Air Force to teach people about the Air Force history and these brave black pilots. Trump banned it. Because they're black. He doesn't like that, right? So it caused a huge scandal and they put it back. That was good. A couple weeks later, they banned the mention of the airplane that dropped the bomb on Japan, or the first airplane, right? Hiroshima was first, I'm going to guess, right? They dropped the plane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. It was called the Enola Gay. They banned the mention of the plane because the plane had the name gay in it. I kid you not. Okay. Then we find out, what was the other one? Oh, a couple days ago, they banned, Arlington National Cemetery. We have a lot of national cemeteries where our soldiers are buried, our veterans are buried. Some of our presidents too. The most famous one is in Washington, D.C., Arlington National Cemetery. Now, I want to pull up a picture just to show you, because the Americans, are well familiar, but I think it's also nice for the Europeans and others to see this. It looks in many ways like the cemeteries in Europe, meaning the military. Oh, come on. The military cemeteries in Europe. I'm going to try to pull this up. Arlington. Yeah, here you go. Here you go. Okay. Right? Arlington National Cemetery. It looks like any kind of military cemetery from World War II, et cetera, right? Very famous cemetery in Washington, D.C. Actually, Northern Virginia, Washington, D.C. So what does Trump do? He finds out that on the website, there are links to Black servicemen who fought in our military, Latino servicemen, Latin American, but from Latin America, women service people, service members. He erases the links. Trump took the links off the website for our national military cemetery, where you could go and find graves of these different groups. They removed the link. They buried these people because, again, they were Black, they were women, they were Latinos, and that would be wrong. So now what did Trump do? Yesterday, we find out Trump banned mentions of the Navajo code talkers. Banned, they're gone. A bunch of the stories about these guys are gone from the Pentagon website. I'm going to tell you in a second who they are because it's important. The stories on the website of the Pentagon have been replaced with a URL, a web address that now is dead, and the URL has the word DEI in it. Remember, DEI is the slur word that Trump uses for civil rights. So they put the word DEI in it to make clear. That's why they killed it. Well, they removed content on the Pentagon website praising Navajo Americans, but who are Navajo Indians, Navajo Native Americans, who during World War II, they did something brilliant with these guys. In World War II, they used Navajo, again, it's a Native American group in the US, in the Asian theater. They used Choctaw and some other ones in Europe, like for the Normandy invasion. And they basically used them as code talkers. So when they got on the radio and were communicating messages, they had them do it in Navajo. They had them do it in Choctaw, right? They had them do it in these Native American languages that the Germans and the Japanese had no idea what this was. It wasn't a code. There was no way to break it. You can't figure out what a language is that you've never heard of and you have no basis, right? Brilliant what they did. Absolutely brilliant. These guys, again, heroes. The story of the group that was banned, the Navajo, that was banned from the Pentagon website. These guys, from the story I was reading, were instrumental in practically every major battle in Asia in the Pacific in World War II. They helped save the Marines in so many different battles. And Trump had them deleted from the Pentagon website because they're Native Americans, and that's considered DEI. That's promoting civil rights, and that's wrong, according to Trump. I mean, guys, they oh God, I was gonna do a video today and I forgot. I'll tell you this story. The other thing Trump did in the last day, we found out. There is a famous, hold on, I'm gonna pull this up to show you. There's a famous memorial in Washington, D.C. Very cool. It is based on a photo. This is the photo raising the American flag on Iwo Jima, an island in the Pacific during World War II. This is a historic photo that was taken of the American troops raising the American flag. Okay, World War II Pacific fighting against the Japanese. All right, so you got that picture, and they built a wonderful memorial to it in Washington, D.C. Again, right across the border in Northern Virginia. I'm going to pull this up. It's a really neat memorial. Oh my God. I love how they don't have a good picture of the, oh my God. The Iwo Jima Memorial website doesn't have a good picture of the memorial. Okay, that's pretty pathetic, I have to say. Hold on a second. That's really bad. Hold on. Iwo Jima Memorial. That's really bad. Images. Here we go. So then this is, that's close enough. I'll go close. That's the actual memorial to the soldiers raising the American flag. I'll show you guys too. Okay. That's it's close enough. You can tell. Okay. Well, yesterday we found out that, hang on, Trump banned one of the guys. They removed the web page of one of the men who raised the American flag in the Pacific in World War II. And mind you, that photo for Americans is incredibly important. It is incredibly moving. That memorial for us, I mean, me looking at it right now, it's very emotional for us, that memorial. You got to understand that, okay? So it's not just a really cool picture and a nice memorial. that is one of the most iconic moments in American military history, and it's one of the most moving. For my taste, it's one of the most moving photos we've got. So what does Trump do? He removes the. Hang on a second. I'm trying to pull this up. He removes the web page of. Come on, guys. Hold on. I'm trying to pull this up on the Washington Post. I subscribe to the Washington Post. It's trying to make me sign in. All right, Washington Post. I'm going to sign in because I want to show you this. He removed the mention on the Pentagon website of one of the guys because he's a minority. Until recently, Washington Post, a page on the Defense Department website celebrated PFC Ira Hayes, a Pima Indian. So this was a Native American and Indian, a Pima Indian who was one of the 6 Marines photographed hoisting a U.S. flag on Iwo Jima in 1945. He was celebrated as an emblem of the contributions and sacrifices Native Americans have made to the United States, not just in the military, but in all walks of life. But the page, along with many other Native American and other minority service members, has now been erased amid the Trump administration's wide-ranging crackdown on DEI. They erased the page honoring the guy because he's a Native American. He's an American Indian. Apparently, they use the word Indian, obviously, because the Washington Post does. So that group, the Pima, must use the word Indian, just because some folks might have said don't say Indian. But Washington Post used it, so clearly the Pima used that term. They deleted this guy. He's a United States Marine. He fought the Japanese in World War II. He is one of the 6 men in an amazing, iconic photo from American history. And they deleted him because he's Indian. Guys, I mean, this is what's happening in my country right now. I mean, and it boggles my mind because they're getting away with it. They're just getting away with it. I mean, anyway, what else happened today? Federal judge found today, there's some good news about Elon Musk, but it's iffy. I'll tell you why. Federal judge today ruled that efforts by Elon Musk and his team to permanently shut down the United States Agency for International Development likely violated the Constitution in multiple ways. The problem with this ruling is the judge is finding that Elon Musk acted as an officer of the United States without being properly appointed, meaning that in shutting down USAID, Elon was acting as a government official without having gone through the confirmation process of being appointed as a government official. Here's the problem. You get around that by saying, okay, I'm Donald Trump. Elon will have nothing to do with it. I want to close USAID. Trump's going to argue, I've got the power. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. But what worries me is the court decision saying Elon didn't have the power because Elon wasn't appointed means you just have somebody who isn't Elon shut it down. So I'm a little worried about this opinion. Nonetheless, it's considered a big swipe against Trump, against Elon. Big victory today. So, we'll take our victories as we get them. Interesting statement from the Supreme Court today. The Chief Justice, who's the top guy on the Supreme Court, John Roberts, exactly, Arctic, I'm going to talk about it. John Roberts, he's a Republican. In our Supreme Court, our top court, the judges are nominated by the president, Democrat, Republican, whoever's in office at the time. John Roberts is the top Republican. He's a Republican judge. Well, Trump yesterday came out and demanded that a judge who ruled against him on some immigration issue be impeached and removed from office simply because the judge disagreed with him. Again, this is part of the un-American, anti-American, anti-judiciary approach Trump takes. And it's a very dangerous approach because he's demonizing judges. He's demonizing the judiciary. And we've had situations before where conservatives openly threatened judges with harm because Republicans were demonizing judges. Well, the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, a Republican, came out today and basically admonished Donald Trump for suggesting we should impeach this judge. Listen to this. Justice Roberts today. For more than 2 centuries, it has been established that impeachment is not an appropriate response to disagreement concerning a judicial decision. The normal appellate review process exists for that purpose. Well, it got even worse because after Trump called for the justice to be impeached, first of all, Trump says about the judge, this judge, like many of the crooked judges, he's claiming the judge is not just wrong, but corrupt. Okay. Like, paid off or something, right? Like many of the crooked judges I am forced to appear before should be impeached. Well, what happens? The Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, a Republican, puts out the statement saying it is inappropriate to impeach a judge simply because he disagrees with you. One of Trump's supporters in Congress submits articles of impeachment against the judge. He started the process to get rid of the judge. Again, it's un-American, and it's what these guys do, and it is incredibly dangerous. They don't believe in our democracy. It's incredibly dangerous. Finally, late-breaking story. Another crazy story. The Wall Street Journal just reported that the Health and Human Services Department, which is run by Robert F. Kennedy Jr., the guy who doesn't believe in vaccines and doesn't believe in science, basically. Health and Human Services Department is weighing plans to drastically cut the federal government's funding for domestic HIV prevention. He's cutting AIDS funding in the U.S. And again, guess why? Guess who a lot of that money goes for? A lot of it goes to help Black people. Latinos too, some white people. A lot of it goes to help the Black community. And they're going after it. Big surprise. The plans could be announced within a day. The discussions came as Trump is preparing for deep cuts of personnel at the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. They're also planning on cutting the CDC. The CDC is our premier government agency dealing with disease, dealing with viruses, dealing with vaccines. It is the premier government agency, the premier. And they're going to gut it. They're going to absolutely gut it. They're destroying science. I mean, it's, again, boggles my mind. We have a measles outbreak now in our country. It's spreading. There have been more measles cases in the last 2.5 months than all of last year. The people who are getting measles and spreading it are people who refuse to get vaccinated, according to the news stories. Right? I mean, it boggles my mind. It absolutely boggles my mind, these people. It just, yeah. Oh, man. Although I will say these stories are good because they let us see who the crazy people are. Which Ash and Amanda, get rid of anybody on this issue who's crazy, just get rid of them. But they're against science, guys. They don't believe in science. They don't believe in vaccines. They don't believe in medicine. Oh my God, there was a story the other day that pharmaceutical companies submitting for grants and things have had to take any mention of mRNA vaccines out of their grant proposals because of fear that the Trump people will kill the program. mRNA vaccines are the historic vaccines that were used to stop COVID, okay? To certainly lessen the impact of COVID. It's considered an incredible advance in medicine, these vaccines. They're looking at them now. I read the other day, I believe, to cure pancreatic cancer, among other things. And pharmaceutical companies are being forced to remove mentions of mRNA vaccines at all from any grant proposal because the Trump people, they fear, or they've gotten word, are killing grants for any kind of science that might help mRNA vaccines advance because of all the crazy lies about COVID. They're still fighting COVID, guys. And they're not just still fighting COVID. I mean, who the hell talks about COVID anymore? I don't care, right? They're still fighting and they're still trying to take down the science. This is crazy. Now, this is why the French welcomed our scientists to go to Europe. And frankly, They should at this point. I mean, I've kind of had it. I think just go, right? If the Republicans want people to leave our country, the best and the brightest, let them go. You're going to get more measles. Great. I mean, they should leave. They should absolutely move to Europe. I hope the Europeans offer them a lot of money, and they do very well. And then when Americans start wondering about why our science is falling behind, why our people are getting sick, you can ask the Republicans that question. Anyway, that's the last story I've got for today. It is disheartening. It is sickening. Thank you, Mbach, for the gift. It's really, I know, why do they hate America? I don't know why they hate America. They certainly don't care about our civil rights. They certainly don't care about our science, and Ash, I knew she was a troll. I just like to turn their words around on them. Anyway, oh my God, guys, as Peter would say, guys. Yeah, downplaying bird flu and vaccines. Oh, measles. I told you this about measles. RFK Jr. on measles. He does this big talk about measles a week ago because we have measles spreading around the U.S. now. Unvaccinated people are spreading it. There's a measles epidemic growing. And RFK Jr., I told you about this. He talks about measles. He doesn't propose. He talks about the measles spreading like a little bit out of control in our country. He doesn't talk about people getting vaccinated, which is the number one way to stop the spread. It's literally the reason that people are getting sick. They're the unvaccinated. He doesn't talk about the vaccine. He suggests people take cod liver oil to prevent measles. All the scientists had to come out and say, cod liver oil doesn't prevent measles. It is not something that, thank you for the gift. Who is that? Thank you. Oh, Stephen. Thank you, Stephen. It doesn't prevent measles. It doesn't cure measles. And this is the interesting, and I bring this story up because it's important to know where RFK Jr. is coming from, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. I don't know if he's not very bright or if he lies or what the motivation is, but he takes little bits of science and then he twists them and lies about them. Guess why Robert F. Kennedy Jr. told people a week ago to take cod liver oil either to prevent measles or to cure measles, both of which is BS. It doesn't work. Because in Africa, I told you guys, but some of you might be new here. In Africa, where children don't get enough food and they're malnourished, they have vitamin A deficiencies. The vitamin A deficiency makes it harder for their immune system to work and fight things like measles. So they give them cod liver oil in Africa to children with measles to get their immune system back because they have a vitamin A deficiency. That's why they get cod liver oil. They don't get cod liver oil because it helps with measles. RFK Jr. claimed this week, he's our top health official, guys. He claimed that we should give people cod liver oil who have measles because it helps fight measles. No, it doesn't. If you're malnourished, it'll help. Yeah. But most Americans aren't malnourished. Like we don't have that problem like in Africa. I mean, again, but what's important about this story is it shows you how people like him create their lies. He takes a little bit of science and then twists it. So then what are his followers going to do? His followers are going to say, oh no, there's a study in Africa. They use it with measles. And people are going to go, oh, I guess that's true. And they're not going to know in Africa, they use it with measles because Africans, a lot of the children tend to be malnourished and they don't have enough vitamin A. And if they don't have enough vitamin A, their immune system is bad. And they take the cod liver oil to help with their malnourishment. It doesn't fight measles. Yeah, unbelievable. I mean, believable, unbelievable. What do you do? Anyway, all right, guys, that's it for the news. This is the part we hang out for a while now. Take your questions, take your comments. Please do keep the gifts coming. YouTube or TikTokers, I should say, follow me if you would. Actually, TikTok, there's a little news on TikTok. We had talked about it last night briefly. Oracle might be looking to buy TikTok. I mean, apparently they are looking, but might be progressing towards buying TikTok. Whether that's enough to mollify the Americans, who knows? But very interesting, very interesting. So But follow me anyway because you don't know. And actually on TikTok, go to my LinkedIn, go to my profile, click the link, and follow me on other social media too, like YouTube especially. I broadcast this show on YouTube, TikTok, and Discord. Anyway, what else we got, guys? Telegram, I would not trust Telegram. Emil's asking about Telegram. Telegram is a Russian app. I would not trust it. No. Like the Ukrainians like to use it, and it's a little crazy because it's a Russian app. Not smart. What else we got, guys? I did not get a new camera. Nope. I'm using my cell phone. I mean, I got a new cell phone 2 months ago, but it's the same camera. It may be, you know what? YouTube may have finally fixed remember YouTube was having a glitch where my video quality was down? They may have fixed the glitch somehow, whatever it was. My show depresses you. I know. Well, when we talk about the Russia, I mean, the Trump stuff, it's not happy stuff. It ain't happy. It ain't happy. What else, guys? What else? Trade war. No news with the trade war. I mean, it's not getting any better, but there isn't any news about it. Yeah, France. Oh, hey, ciao Torino. I was just in Italy, ma non a Torino. Sono stato a Lucca. But the Germans are upset at Callis. That's interesting. Thank you, Nauseous. Oh, thank you, Jen, for the dove. The little bird's cute. It's cute. Yeah, Alyssa, that's some state senator. I mean, that's fine, but generally speaking, don't say senator arrested. I mean, I don't mean to be rude, but it confuses people. That makes it sound like it's United States Senator. In America, at least, when we say senator, we mean United States Senator. If it's a state senator, make sure to say state senator, because I saw that earlier. I mean, I don't really care if a state senator gets arrested, even if he's a Republican, to be honest. It's just not as big a deal. But it confuses people when you say senator. At least I Googled the story. Yeah, Minnesota senator, that's different. Yeah, state senator. Well, it's important because otherwise you say senator and we all go, senator, oh my God. I agree. It's still not funny. It's sick that, these guys are doing this. But Tesla stock, I know the stocks fell again today. I didn't see what Tesla did today. I saw that the stock market went down again today. Let me look and see how much. I will tell you. One moment. Yep. GOP state senator Justin Eichhorn arrested on suspicion of soliciting sex with a 16-year-old girl. Not good. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 0.62 points today. The NASDAQ down 1.7%. That's bad. S&P, I'm going to guess somewhere in between. S&P 500 down 1%. Again, this is bad because it's cumulative. The last month, the S&P 500 is down 8%. Tesla, let's see what Tesla did today. They were starting to come back a teeny weeny bit. I'll bet you they're down. Tesla stock. Oh man, Tesla dropped 5% today. Ooh, wow. Oh, that's bad. I've got 5% on mine. Wow. 1 month, Tesla's down 36%. Good. Wow. Well, there was a big story. The reason Tesla stock dropped today, there was a big story. Tesla board members, executives sell off over $100 million worth of stock. That's why they were freaking out, because the insiders at Tesla sold all their stuff. Not all of it. They sold a bunch of their stock. Yeah, that's not good. That doesn't look good. Thank you, Gothic. Wow. Oh, well. 36%. Oh, well. Excuse me. Mexico, Canada, Europe free trade partnership. Is it an actual thing? I've not heard about it. But yeah, Tesla, honestly, I hope Tesla loses everything. And from what I hear, it's not a very good car company anyway. Their cars are not very good condition from what I've been told. But also they're evil. So I don't support companies that want to destroy that hate my democracy. Thank you, Gothics, that don't like our country. Thank you, Catherine. I mean, they're evil. So it still amazes me the degree to which Tesla has destroyed its brand. I used to really, I told you 10 years ago, I test drove a Tesla. I was very impressed. I didn't know about all the quality problems. Apparently the quality's shit, but but it was an impressive car. And then I watched Elon Musk go crazy in real time on Twitter over the last several years. Thank you, Melanie, for Nemo. And then saddle up to far right extremists. I watched him do the German salute with his hand, right? We watched him support neo-fascist groups in Germany. We watched him support Trump and kill aid to poor kids in Africa, starving kids in Africa, people with AIDS. And Tesla can go to hell at this point. There ought to be a massive shareholder suit against Tesla and Elon. Massive. He's destroyed that company. Absolutely destroyed that company. You know, Tesla, exactly. Tesla. Trump called it Tesla. He was trying to help Elon sell cars because Tesla's been obviously going in the toilet with their stock. And Trump goes something about, I really like these. I've always liked these Teslers. It was like, Tesla? It's not called a Tesla. The other problem Tesla's got is they've literally attacked and alienated their base buyer. Who buys electric vehicles in America, at least? Liberals, people who care about the environment. People who care about the environment tend not to be on the right because the right, thank you for the gift there, Lori. A lot of people on the right don't believe the environment's a problem. They don't believe climate change is a problem. And Tesla has decided to alienate Democrats. They've decided to alienate people on the left. They've decided to alienate the environmental movement. Trump is dismantling our environmental protections. Well, we're the people who buy your damn cars. Republicans aren't the people who buy electric vehicles, right? They want to buy oil chugging big vehicles. Tesla has literally gone and alienated the very people who buy electric vehicles. It's crazy. Yeah. Again, makes it easier with all the quality problems that Teslas have. You know, it makes it easier to basically turn on them because now I know that they make a crappy car, which I didn't know before. You know. Anyway, the astronauts are down. That's good. Thank you, Cuevas, for the heart. Oh, what else, guys? Oh man, what's a good alternative? There are lots of electric vehicles out there. I mean, right, Rivian is one. I don't know the details of them, but lots of American companies make electric vehicles. Foreign companies do too. I mean, there's lots of choices. But I mean, you want to drive a car that says "I love Elon Musk"? Really? At this point, ugh. That's the problem. Is Tesla's like it literally is wearing a bumper sticker that says "I like fascism." I would be embarrassed driving a Tesla at this point. You know, ugh. No, what that company has done to its reputation. My God, it's just scary. You know. Yep, the astronauts are back. That's good. That's good. I know the other company, Rivian, isn't doing very well though. I thought they were having problems. I don't know if the quality is an issue, but the company itself I thought wasn't doing very well. Well, who was it? Some senator just sold his Tesla. One of the U.S. senators. He said, he goes, "I used to love this car, but I'm embarrassed now," and he sold it. Well, that's the other problem is I'm not sure I'd want a 100% electric car. You know, I just think it's not as, was it Mark Kelly? Okay, good. Mark Kelly, especially after the crap Elon did. Elon called him a traitor for visiting Ukraine. The guy's like he's an astronaut and a former, military vet. And Elon, who never served in the U.S. military, he'd actually never served in the South African military. Elon fled South Africa in order to avoid the draft. He's a draft dodger. Google it. True story. And he's literally attacking soldiers who served in the American military, a U.S. astronaut, and called him a traitor, not understanding our freedoms because he visited Ukraine. It's like, dude, somebody doesn't understand our freedoms. It's not Mark Kelly, the American hero. I don't think so. Anyway, Kelly was a Navy combat pilot. All right. Oh, what else? Oh, yikes. Sorry, guys. As always, dog woke me up a lot this morning, so I didn't sleep as well. I know Mike Myers' depiction of Elon Musk, our comedy show Saturday Night Live did a wonderful Elon Musk the other week. Oh my God. So embarrassing. I mean, good embarrassing, like embarrassing for Musk. Um, oh, that's funny. The CEO of Ford Motor Company test drove a Chinese electric vehicle and loved it so much he kept it. Are you sure that? I mean, only thing is, I would think the CEO of Ford Motor Company would be careful about that, though. Like he wouldn't want to be promoting the Chinese cars. That's the only reason I would doubt that story. But I believe it if you got it from a real source. But no, I believe you. But I just would think an American car company executive would be more careful about that. Doesn't matter if they're good. You're an American. You run Ford Motors. You have to say American cars are good. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I believe you. But damn, that's funny. That's funny. Wow. Um, yeah, Chinese cars are not bad, but do they spy on you? Also, Chinese, I got to tell you, I don't totally trust Chinese technology. I think it's because so much of the stuff we have in the US is Chinese and it's made very poorly. It's made very crappy. And it's made me a little, I don't know. I'd be nervous about buying, I guess my iPhone's made in China, I guess. So there is that. But so much of the Chinese stuff we have here is so bad that it would make me worry buying a Chinese car, you know? But maybe I forgot. I saw a story on this years ago, whether whether they're careful with high end stuff, that they're not careful with the low end stuff, you know? Anyway, what else? Thank you, Amba. Do follow me on TikTok. Everywhere else too, but TikTok, I like to remind folks. Questions or anything, guys? We talk U.S. politics here. We talk Trump. We talk Ukraine, whatever you want. Join in, weigh in. Your comments, your thoughts. What else? Yeah, I'd be a little afraid. Gunther mentioned having an electronic back door on the Chinese electric vehicle. That's what I'd be afraid of. Hey, Swan, good to see you. Thank you for subscribing. Yeah, Trump's MAGA hats are made in China. I remember that. What's next for Ukraine? I mean, Trump is trying to negotiate their country away. I mean, it's hard to know what's next. What's next is supposedly direct negotiations, maybe, between Ukraine and Russia in the Middle East. But we have no idea because Trump isn't involving Ukraine in this. Trump is just negotiating for them, and Trump doesn't side. He doesn't support Ukraine, so it's a little scary. But what do you do? We talk food. We can talk food in a little bit. I try to save the food discussion for a little bit later. Was there more than that, Dutch? Dutch is mentioning a European Union canceling F-35s. And Canada too. I know Portugal did. They were considering purchasing American F-35 fighter jets, and now they're not because of Trump, and basically saying they can't trust the U.S. to keep servicing the jets. But is that true of the other? I did not see any stories about the rest. I did talk earlier, ED, about the Supreme Court statement. Our Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, a Republican, put out a statement criticizing Donald Trump today because Trump called for a judge to be impeached, removed from office because the judge ruled against him and said he was violating the Constitution, basically. And Trump got upset. And of course, Trump wants the judge removed, and Republicans are now trying to remove the judge. So the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court, who's a Republican, came out and said, this is inappropriate. This is not what you do when you disagree with an opinion. But it is what you do when you don't believe in democracy, when you don't believe in our court system. Very scary. Yeah, it is a good sign, at least. I agree, Solak. It's a good, I mean, the fact that the Justice Roberts said that today, at least shows that he understands the job. We're worried about some of the judges, but Deemer, the time changed in America this weekend. Last weekend, actually, it's been a week now. A week ago, the time changed in America. So now the show is a different time because we set our clocks ahead. That's why the show is at a different time. It's the same time. It's 6:00 in Washington, D.C. or New York City, but different for you if you're abroad. Yep. Did Europe just change this weekend, or is Europe changing next weekend? Procedure to remove for impeachment, congressional vote. I don't know the details. articles. I can always pull it up and see. Impeach judges Congress. I could always do ChatGPT. It probably would tell me better. How Congress could, but probably won't impeach a federal judge. I'll get to the freaking point. Oh, Jesus Christ. Any member can introduce a resolution to impeach a federal judge. They're referred to the Judiciary Committee. They investigate, hold hearings. If a majority of the Judiciary Committee approves it, an impeachment resolution goes to the Rules Committee, goes to the House floor for a debate and a vote. It only takes a simple majority vote in the House to impeach an official. Wouldn't there need to be a Senate impeachment trial? Yes. If the House were to vote by simple majority to impeach a federal judge, the articles would be transmitted to the Senate and a trial would be triggered. Let's see here. And what's the vote? Oh, it's just like regular impeachment. Oh, so impeachment it's just like impeaching the president. If all 100 senators attended the trial and voted, 67 would have to vote to convict. Okay. So impeachment works the same way it does for presidential impeachment. You need a 2/3. Come on in. Come on. Come on. Hey. She doesn't listen until I give her the angry voice. Then she comes in. So yeah, impeachment works the same way it does for presidential. I didn't realize that. Impeachment is impeachment, period. It doesn't matter who you're impeaching. So that's how it works. 30th March is when Europe changes their time. Okay. Or when UK does at least. Okay. Anyway. What else, guys? I am tired. Oh, you make gluten-free challah. That's fun. Yes, State Senator Luna. Yes. Can Putin be arrested anywhere for war crimes? Not anywhere, but many places in the world. Yes. Yes. Trump wouldn't arrest him, but it certainly has limited Putin's options. He hasn't been able to go to South Africa, for example. The South Africa and Brazil too, I think. Both countries were uncomfortable with Putin coming because they didn't want to be in a position where they then didn't arrest him and they were violating international law. So Putin basically canceled plans for a big international trip in South Africa and in Brazil as a result. So it's good. I mean, it has some impact, which is good. So yes, tired from listening to the daily news. That is true as well. Are we now out of NATO? Not officially, practically, a little bit. Yeah. I mean, under Trump, I don't think our NATO commitments are real. You should not count on the U.S. coming to defend you if you're a NATO member, if Trump is president. Who knows what he'll do, but I wouldn't count on him if I were you, right? He's better friends with Putin than he is you. So, Oh, yeah. Adventures is mentioning that the JFK records have been released. They were going to release at the end of the day today. Not all of them, but a number of the files dealing with John F. President Kennedy's assassination. Anything interesting? I'm going to assume there's probably not much interesting, but interesting to see it anyway. Why not, right? But let me look and see if there's anybody discussing this yet. Let's see. Oh, God, go away. Oh, God. He's lying again. Trump, Russia has the advantage. They have encircled about 2,500 soldiers. They're nicely encircled, and that's not good. No, they're not, Donald. They're literally not. It's a Putin lie that you're repeating like you always do. I'm not sure here. Wow, that's bad. Nope, not seeing anything yet on the JFK stuff. No. I mean, people are gonna have to go through the files. I'm not convinced we're gonna find anything that interesting, but you never know. Maybe. What else? Sweden named Vladimir Putin the American president in the news this morning. That's funny. Good. Good. Yeah, 80,000 pages. Oh, is it 80,000 pages? That's interesting. Thank you, Jill, for the meerkat. We like the meerkat. He's fun. How long before Putin breaks the ceasefire? Yeah. I mean, who knows? Putin may like the ceasefire because it's stopping Ukraine from attacking Russian oil, which is sort of the one big successful thing Ukraine's been doing has been going after Russian oil. So, you know, I may have to give the dog a little bit. JFK files a distraction. Yes, although I'm not convinced anything happened today. Thank you, Chaz, for the pot of gold. I'm not convinced. My dog wants water. I'm not convinced there's anything bad that happened today that they're trying to distract, though, with the JFK files. They frankly should have saved it for a more scandalous day, right? 1 second. That would have made more sense. A little bit of water for starters. But they didn't. So, but it would have made more sense to save it for something like that, I think, Oh man. Oh, I missed. Oh, there was a balloon gift. Oh, I'm sorry. Actually, Helene sent the TikTok live gift. Thank you for that. Chaz, I did see the pot of gold and the meerkat. Oh, was it the TikTok live gift? I stepped away when Helene sent that. Sorry, Helene. I was just walking away. Thank you for that. Did they not release the Epstein files? I thought they did. Thank you, Carrie. I was in Italy at the time. They were releasing it like that day or something, right? I thought they were. Sasha is playing me, I know. Well, she does drink a lot of water, but I think she, like during the stream, she gets extra thirsty. It's true. They didn't release it. Okay, I didn't know that. Huh. Tell us about my dog. You guys have seen my dog. She's a Yorkie Bichon, about yay big, very cute. 15 years old. She's getting a little old. Fortunately, not acting old yet. Not really, but she is getting old. Let me see if I can find a good. Oh, actually, that's a cute picture of her. Actually, that's a couple cute pictures of her. Where was this? I want to find one of the. Oh, this was us at Halloween. This was us at Halloween when I wore my Star Trek shirt, and she had her Mr. Spock. Oh, thank you for the gift there, Chaz and James. She had her Mr. Spock outfit on. I got her a Spock costume. So that's her Spock costume and my Star Trek shirt that I got at a garage sale for $5. It was very cute. I'm surprised I wore that, actually. I normally don't wear costumes when I go out and stuff, but I did that day. That's very funny. That is very funny, actually. She's a trip. Yes. The dog is an absolute trip. Yeah. So the Kennedy stuff, but yeah, if it's 80,000 documents, it's going to take a while to go through. Heavily redacted. Interesting. Well, I wonder what the redactions would be in the JFK assassination documents. It's been so many years. Like, what information could still be classified or whatever? You know what I mean? It seems weird. I mean, who knows? But it just seems a little odd. And frankly, that's the stuff that feeds conspiracy theories. Because you're like, why is it redacted at this point? I mean, you're not really releasing the documents if you're releasing the documents and you blacked everything out, The FBI, we have not really heard much about the FBI under Patel, other than the fact that 2 FBI agents went with the Doge thugs to the Institute of Peace the other day. So they're bringing them as they're like using FBI agents as their muscle now, Elon's staff, which is kind of gross. Very gross. Not to mention it's the U.S. Institute of Peace, and they went there with muscle. It literally has peace in its name, his affair with Marilyn and the mob. Maybe, but I mean, at this point, he's gone. His wife is gone. I mean, come on, it's 60 years ago. I mean, you'd think they could, or 61 and a half years. They could release that stuff now. I don't really get it. Oh, it's me. Um, I became more beautiful as I aged. One of the trolls said, "You're supposed to become more wiser as you age." By the way, we've talked about this. Attacking me for my intelligence doesn't work. Like, that's not quite the thing that I'm like nervous about. So good try though. But yeah, you got to try a little harder than that. No, Washingtonian, not Washington. Ew, Chicagoan, from Chicago. I was thinking Washington when you said Seattle. Yeah, I'm from Chicago. Thank you, Jim. The military trans ban was just paused by a judge. Oh, that's interesting. Well, that'll be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, they tend to give a lot of deference to the military, but still, who knows? You know? Yes, I know. Well, no, that makes me laugh with stuff like that, where I'm like, "You're not smart." It's like, okay, like okay, whatever. East of Wrigley. Oh, that's nice. Thank you, Foodie, for the gift. What else? What else? 7:15. We'll go a couple minutes more, and then we'll call it quits. Ugh. Exactly. To pay. That's another thing I'm not sensitive about. Being Greek, you tend not to be sensitive about your hair because you know you got good hair because you're Greek. So you got to find better stuff to insult me on, guys. Hair isn't going to do it. What else? What else? What else? What else? Although I've now kind of spiked it. Actually, my hair is at a weird in between phase right now where it's bigger, so it's not going as flat, but it's still kind of it's still Greek hair that's kind of going everywhere on me. But anyway, it's frustrating. People like curly and wavy hair, but when you've got it, it's not easy. Hi from Canada. We are not okay, Kate. Not at all. Nope. We are exactly what you are seeing. Kind of a mess, sadly. Do I think the Ukraine war will end soon? I think Trump's going to end it. He's gonna hurt Ukraine. You're laying, Menda. The transgenic mice, exactly. George Clooney, I'll take that. I don't mind looking like George Clooney. When I moved to Greece, I don't know about Greece. I'd move to Europe. I don't know. I'd consider it. You know, I'd certainly consider it. My nephew's there right now. I was either go to Italy or go to Greece. I thought about it. I could have gone to Greece instead, but I hadn't been to Italy in so long that I'm kind of glad I went to Italy. But, they've been going to the little villages we're from and everything, and it would have been nice to go back. But what do you do? I'll go back again someday soon, a couple years. But best president of the U.S., I don't know. I don't have that kind of knowledge. I mean, I really don't. I can't I'm not one of those crazy historian types that goes, well, the president in 1873, I don't even know who the hell that was. Garfield, I don't even know. So yeah, I'm not good at those questions. Oh, I don't know. If you could only visit one foreign country, that's difficult. I mean, my gut is saying France or Italy. And then if it's just one place, it might be Italy, just because France has a lot. Paris is amazing. The rest of France is great, but France is Paris. Italy is Rome, Florence, Venice. You know what I mean? You've got so many really cool cities that stand on their own. Paris stands on its own, much more centralized, I would argue. Milan's good too, but I'm just saying I think Italy's, but my biases of what I've always liked would be more Italy or France, probably. That would be my. Paris is pretty amazing. If you only one city, I'd say Paris. If it was only like one place you were going to, I'd say Paris. So maybe France wins in that regard because it's got Paris. If you like literally, you only had the chance to leave America once, I'd say go to Paris. Is it safe for tourists to come to the USA right now? I don't know. I mean, tourists probably. I don't know that I'd come here to study or work as a foreigner. I certainly wouldn't try to immigrate right now. So I don't know. Europe's fine. Um, Actually, Venice, I was seeing too, like Venice, like horrible number of tourists in Venice. Unfortunately, Italy's gotten overrun. Like Florence was always gross. Rome was pretty bad. And I was in Rome at the end of February. It was pretty bad. Maybe because of the Jubilee, but damn, the tourist thing's a little out of control. ICE has been detaining foreign tourists. I did not see that. I've not heard that. I mean, maybe true, but I know they've been detaining people here on green cards and people here, whatever. What else? Well, the German, that German, he's got some issues. There's a German that I think had a green card or something, but the story, everyone was getting outraged. Story's a little weird. I mean, he had a drunk driving conviction in the US. I'm sorry. You come to my country and you drive drunk, you're leaving. He had drunk driving. He had some pot conviction or something with marijuana in his car that got thrown out or whatever because California then legalized it. He had a court case. Mind you, 3 court cases this guy had. He had a court case that he was supposed to show up for 2 years ago, and he blew it off. Which means there was a warrant out for his arrest probably. And then he leaves the country and comes back in, and they grabbed him at the border and they treated him very badly by all reports. But you know what? And 10 years ago, Leza, don't even go there. It was 10 years ago. He drove drunk in America. So that's okay. No, it's not okay. Right? You don't come to our country and not be, first of all, don't come here and be a citizen and drink, by the way, and drive. But you're not even a U.S. citizen and you're driving drunk here, you can leave as far as that goes. But yeah. So no, but again, he blew off a court date, which means there was a warrant for his arrest. You're not even a U.S. citizen and you're trying to cross the border into the country when there's a warrant for your arrest. Bye-bye. Right? There's no way. So that one guy, his story, he was a bad example, unfortunately. He was a bad example. But the other ones I've got to see. Look, it's the Trump people. I would not be surprised that they're abusing the process, right? We know that. I'm just saying the one story about that one German guy, I read it and I was like, this is not a good guy, or it certainly doesn't sound like a good guy, I didn't see about the Canadians or anybody else. I'm sure they're going to harass everybody. I mean, well, there's a couple things too. It's their job to harass you, but only to a degree. I mean, the border people, that's their job, is to be scary and, in case you're a bad guy, you freak out. But that doesn't mean they lock you up. It doesn't mean they strip you. It doesn't mean, right? I mean, there's scaring you and they're scaring you, Yeah, but I need to know her case. Detained for 2 weeks. I'd have to know more about it. My point here is I don't believe stories that I hear unless I see all the details. Like I said, that German guy, everybody was freaked out about him last week. And then when I read the details, I was like, this guy is trouble. Doesn't mean you treat him the way they treated him, but everyone was acting like he was a hero. This guy was bad. He should never have expected to come back into the country. That's my point, is I want to see the stories before I'm going to judge whether or not they've been abusing Canadians or whoever. I want to see the story first. My point is I don't trust people that share stuff. I really don't. I've been burned too many times. People online telling me stuff and I believe it. And then it's like not true, or they didn't tell me the whole story. So yeah, I'm very suspicious of story. Again, that's my nature. I'm always suspicious of stuff I see online. I don't know. Google the German. They stripped him and showered him or something, but he had a DUI. He had a court date in 2022. He blew off and then claimed, "Oh, I didn't know about it." Except how do you didn't know about it, but you know about it now. So they claimed he was German. Maybe he was from Luxembourg, but when I read it, the story was he was German. I think it was Huffington Post that wrote about it. You know, well, I mean, I got treated like that going into the UK, but that's okay. You know, I mean, they were very mean going into the UK with me when I was a kid. I was like 19, and I was visiting a friend, and they were like, "Why are you here?" Like, visiting my friend. What are you doing in France? Studying. But you know what? But that's their job. I mean, again, I don't necessarily want them to be rude, but their job is to be a little bit scary so that if you're up to no good, you crack and go, like if you're a terrorist or something, right? So, you know. Anyway, all right, guys, we're at 25 after. I think I'm going to wrap up here. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I'm not going to comment on stories I haven't read. I need to see the story first. So, anyway, all right. I think we're going to call it quits, guys. Tomorrow's show. Oh, thank you, Omar. Thank you for the dragon. As you guys know, the show is every Monday to Friday, 6:00 Eastern time, US. Our time did change in the US a week ago. So we're probably at a different time than you think it is if you're abroad. I'm in Washington, D.C., so just Google Washington, D.C., 6 p.m. Eastern or 6 p.m. at night, 1800 hours. You will see. That's when the show is. But we do this every night, Monday to Friday, and we talk about the latest news from America with Trump and all, and then the latest news about Ukraine because I'm in Washington, D.C. So, all right. Okay, guys, I'm going to call it quits. I'm going to keep making dinner. I was starting dinner before the show. I'm going to finish my dinner now. And then I will see you guys tomorrow. All right. All right. As usual, have a good night. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, mods. Thank you for your gifts. Thank you for following me on TikTok, by the way, and other places as well. And let me, I guess, Discord, I will sign out with you first. See you, Jeffrey, evil mom in Arctic. That's funny. Evil mom. All right. See you guys. Boom. All right. YouTube next. TikTok, you're next. YouTube. Good night, guys. All right. And then TikTok. Good to